Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power's Daily Report. Today we continue our conversation with Ron Hupscher, the founder and CEO of the Sales Optimization Group. Let's talk about best practices of great negotiators. Can you share a story with us that where you thought that was really a terrific negotiation?
Yeah, absolutely. We had one case, a software company, where they closed a $3 million deal. And they negotiated well, they knew the ROI, they knew the payback, they knew the monthly benefit. They kept a strong stand, and the client paid full price. The client got the software in, was unhappy, wasn't able to use it, called and complained.
Not an atypical story.
Yeah, especially in the software world, right? Enterprise software, no less. So what the salesperson did was had an application engineer come on site, and the application engineer worked with the team. They saw what the problems were. They invested in more training, all at no cost to the customer, and the customer turned out was very happy with the product. So they avoided a whole issue on what was a $3 million deal. And in fact, what the salesperson learned was it's always important to have the application engineer on site. So now in all his future negotiations, they make the application engineer part of the sales cycle and part of the things that they give into that negotiation process, which benefits both the customer and the organization. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, and an opportunity where what was a $3 million deal that might went south turned into a great relationship.
Isn't it amazing that we all learn from our near misses and then we close the barn door?
Experience is a series of mistakes, and that's how we get better.
Right. What would be another example?
We were doing sales training and negotiation training in Europe, and one rep came up to us and said, you know, I offered a 38% discount to get this deal in by the end of the quarter. And they said, no, now what I do? And it's interesting because that's just an example of a poor way of negotiating. You want to focus on the value you're creating. And if you're giving huge discounts to get deals in the door, there's really no value creation, and there's no value perceived. So now he's stuck at the point where next quarter, they're going to expect, boy, they're not going to close the day after. They're going to wait till the end of next quarter, and they're going to start negotiating with 38%. So you never want to give without getting something. You want some kind of commitment. If we can get you some price, can you commit by a certain date? And if you can't, all bets are off. It's really interesting. That brings to another point where you never want to give 2 times without something on the back end.
So in other words, if the customer makes a demand and you give in to that demand, and then the customer makes the second demand, you don't want to respond to that.
Right. If I give you something, Gerhard, what can I get? And every time I give you something, I have to have you understand the difficulty or the value that I'm giving to you. Otherwise, it creates no value.
So you want to make it a habit. So if that extra 2% is really important to you to close the deal, do we have a deal if I get my manager to agree on that?
Absolutely.
Is that the way it works?
Right, absolutely. And what else can you do for us? You know, can we maybe perhaps look at you paying maintenance in advance? You know, we want maybe a bundle of other things as opposed to just a one-to-one trade-off. It's kind of interesting on the give-to-get philosophy. I see a lot of people or a lot of salesmen give the wink-wink price. So they'll give you the quote and they'll say, wink, wink, that's not the real price. And they just kill themselves because what that signals to the buyer is that's not the real price. The first discount you give me has no value, and we'll start negotiating down from there.
So what will be an incident where you actually need to walk away from a customer?
Before you go into negotiation, you want to know your walkaway price. And there's several reasons for that. I like to talk about, once you give a discount, think about giving a discount to your entire territory, because word will get out. Whether it's customers and prospects speaking to each other, or a competitor can find out. And it gets worse yet for the corporate strategy, because if you have a person in one territory selling to one organization, they get a 40% discount, and you have someone in another territory gets a 5% discount. It's only a matter of time before they figure it out.
So Ron, what's the secret for spreading the best practices of great negotiators across the sales organization?
Yeah, and you know, Gerhard, it's not rocket science, it's just process and discipline. So we create a very simple process where we say, what are the elements or what are the pieces of information I need to have before I go into my negotiation process? And in fact, we put it on a one-page piece of paper. You know, what are the pieces of information I need to have? Do I have them? Yes. What are they? What's my negotiation plan? What are the non-monetary trade-offs I'm willing to make? What are the monetary trade-offs I'm willing to make? What is the monthly benefit that I can communicate to the buyer?
So really what you're saying is that a good negotiator helps the customer win.
Absolutely.
And helps the customer to forge an agreement that really lasts, that they're not going to back out 3 days after.
Absolutely, and that's part of great sales, is creating huge value for your customer and prospect. And then once you do that, you're entitled to command a price premium relative to your competitors.
I want to thank you, Ron, for sharing all those great ideas with our audience, and I would like you to tune in to the Sales Optimization Group, a great company that can help you negotiate better and put more money in your pocket.